I'm going to tell you guys what happened during lockdown, and it was, a bit of a crazy and shocking. Hey guys, it's Lesley Tao here, and welcome to my YouTube. Whoop whoop, whoop whoop. Hey guys, so I'm a little bit hyper, and the reason being is because I've missed you guys. It's been a really long time since I last posted on my YouTube, so I want to give you guys a massive apologies, and I hope you haven't missed me too much. But what I've been doing is literally I've been saving our property business during lockdown, and also saving other people's property businesses as well. So that includes that of my students, those people in my community, and landlords. And I can't wait to share what we've been doing with you, because obviously I'm here to tell the story, and we managed to turn things around, and as a company are stronger and better. But before I go into it, some housekeeping. Because of my absence, I want to make up for it. So what's happening is I am releasing a new video every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So make sure you subscribe below. And also guys, click on the notification button, because what that means is that you're going to get notified every time a new video of mine comes up. So without further ado, let's get down to business. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I run a property management agency / lettings agency in Cambridge called Koala & Tree. And we have around 50 rental units, which we manage, and we own some as well. And it's a mixture of commercial, retail, shops, and restaurants. And on the residential side, we have a very buoyant portfolio of rent-to-rent units. So those are units that we don't own, but we sublease from a landlord, and we run various rental strategies from. So that includes serviced accommodation, which is a type of short-term let, holiday let, corporate let, and also HMOs, which is also known as a share house, and also the traditional model, the single let model, where you rent to one tenant or one household, but we've really spiced it up a bit, and I can't wait to tell you about it. Now, if you guys want to find out a little bit more about how I've managed to build up this multi-six-figure business from property, I'm going to drop a link in the description below which tells you a little bit more about my property journey, because my property business in the UK only started in 2018 when I came back from Dubai after living there for about nearly 10 years. So I strongly believe if I can do it, you guys can do it too, okay? But without further ado, I'm going to tell you guys what happened during lockdown, and it was, a bit of a crazy and shocking, but we're all locked inside kind of time, right? So as you all know, we went into full lockdown in England on the 23rd of March 2020. I literally woke up one morning and there was a massacre of emails coming in where people were cancelling their bookings on the service accommodation side and demanding refunds. There was just so many, and by the end of the week, literally we had it wasn't even under, but over £50,000 worth of booking cancellations. And because of the lockdown measures, this meant that we ended up with 22 units that were left empty. So those are apartments and houses. We did have, tenants that were coming in, even on the longer term model, but the airlines had to stop flying. The countries had closed their borders. Nobody could get in as well. So we had lots and lots of bookings and cancellations, and it was a freaking nightmare, to be honest, because we weren't the only ones in that situation. So there were other service accommodation operators, other agencies, other landlords who are also in the same boat, and with rentals to pay, bills to pay, mortgages to pay, employee overheads, office rent, utility bills, and the list goes on and on and on. So we had to implement some emergency strategies, because at that point we didn't know how long this was going to go on for. Never seen anything like it, and it was a survival of the fittest, right? So I hope I hope sharing some of my strategies with you guys is not going to be too shocking, because this was also the first time we had to implement some of these measures. Now guys, Koala Tree, as I've mentioned, it's my baby. So in terms of, it's my baby business. It's the first business I established when I came back to the UK. And I certainly wasn't going to let it go down the drain without putting up a good fight. And there was no way I wanted us to eat into our cash reserves unless it was absolute emergency, last straw in the haystack kind of scenario, because my cash reserves is for investment, and strictly for investment, and you need to be very disciplined with your money. So the first thing that we did was stop all direct debits going out of our business bank account. And yes, so everything. So that included rent to landlords, rent to the suppliers for utility bills, everything, council tax, everything. And the reason for that is because I wanted to make sure that we had absolute control over what was going in and what was coming out. The coming out bit was very important, because at that point when this all happened, there wasn't as much coming in. So cash flow control was number one. Okay, so we stopped all the direct debits, and what that meant was we had to go back and negotiate all our overheads, every penny, every single little thing. So what that meant was I had to go back to a landlord to negotiate our rents, and thank God they all agreed to between a 30 to 50 cent rental reduction, which helped us a lot. We went back and negotiated with all our suppliers, all the utility providers, and even the council. So there was no stone left unturned when it came to the overheads. Now I'm just thinking what else I can tell you. So we got a Rightmove account, so we even managed to negotiate and get a 50% reduction in the Rightmove fees and office rent. So no stone, as I mentioned, was left unturned, and that really helped reduce our overheads. Now when the 1st of April hit, that was when we usually pay our salaries, so everything goes out at the beginning of the month. We were able to make salaries in full to all our employees, okay? But one of the things that unfortunately happened was the furlough scheme. And for you guys that don't know what that is, or are not too familiar, because you might not have employees, it's a government subsidiary scheme that helps businesses that has full-time employees to subsidize 80% of the employee's salary, but they can't be working, so that's why they're furloughed. So the only sort of really bad news, and it made me feel quite bad as a business owner, was that we had to tell some employees that they were not they weren't privy to this scheme, so we had to let them go. And the reason for that is because we had one employee in particular, but she only just started with us in March, so unfortunately the furlough scheme couldn't apply to her, even though we tried our hardest to see whether she would fall under that category. So unfortunately we had to let her go, because we couldn't keep someone on our books, especially when there was no work and we were operating very tight overheads going out. Now, what else did we do? So apart from being really strict with our overheads, literally being super frugal as a business, and to be honest, I've never really done that before, and I actually think where my past businesses went wrong is because maybe we were too generous with our money. I actually think that we have a better business model now that our overheads are so streamlined and so low, and we're so in control of that, so that's been a really good thing. But something else that we did was we switched rental strategies. So at that point during the lockdown, short-term lets was prevented, so we weren't allowed to do that under the government rules and regulations. There was one exception though, and the exception was we could rent our properties out to key workers. So key workers were, people that were working for the NHS. So it could be nurses, doctors, scientists, or people who were allowed to work during lockdown. So that also included any contractors. And we switched our business model from short-term lets at that point to mid to long-term rentals. And because we were able to get a reduction in the rent, we could become a bit more competitive with our pricing. So we dropped our pricing and could attract tenants very easily. So there was still obviously a demand there, and I guess that's because if you're a key worker, you might want to keep your family safe because you're in contact with people who people who have COVID-19 or contracted coronavirus, so you do want to keep your family safe. But we found that our units got filled up. It took us 2 months because we had 22 units to fill up in that capacity and a few rooms, so it did take us 2 months to get to 100% occupancy. But to be honest, guys, I think we did relatively quite well. Now, apart from switch rental strategies, I want to tell you guys in just a little bit of detail in a strategy that I really, really like. And we actually started implementing this strategy in January 2019, and I'm calling it single lets on steroids. And what is this? So basically, it's on a single let model, but it's set up as a service accommodation, and the reason why I like it so much is because the sort of tenancy contracts we've got in is between 6 to 12 months, so it's quite consistent and stable income for us, and I know exactly what is coming in, exactly what is going out from that property. There's not really much management or cleaning or laundry to do, so it takes out all the stress of that, and more importantly, it's sort of ticks all the grey areas that service accommodation has. So that's mortgage, that's planning, that's insurance, the whole shabil. So I really like this model, and the more important thing is that we are able to earn a premium on top. So before coronavirus, our properties on this model we were earning between £500 to £1,500 per unit. So that's obviously a very lucrative unit and one that's so much easier to manage and scale up. Now guys, if you want me to sort of break down the single lets on steroids model in a bit more detail, I actually think it needs a video to itself. Do drop me a comment below that you want to find out a little bit more, and Lesley, please make a video about it. If there's enough comments, I will make a video about it and I will break it down in more detail so you guys can understand what it is. But it was ultimately this rental model that saved our business, because we switched everything over and it's all been rented out long term, and now my team are a little bit bored because everything's rented out, and short-term lets are picking up again though. So what we've been doing as well is taking on more rental units, so it's all been quite exciting. Now guys, apart from switching rental models, the sort of one other big thing that we did was that we really hyped up our marketing and advertising. So our properties were on every platform you can think of. So that's Rightmove, that's OpenTree, that's Gumtree, that's Zoopla, that's Spare Room, that's Facebook Marketplace, Airbnb and Booking.com, even though their calendars were shut. But they were still great advertising platforms. We worked on our websites, we worked on our SEO to get our website ranked on the first page of Google in Cambridge, which it is, and also we ran some Google ads, so there was a lot of activity going on. And one of my teams which deals with the advertising, so I'm just going to give them a shout out, so it's my brother William Tao and my sister-in-law Raquel. Thank you guys so much. So basically, they are in charge of the marketing side for Qualentry, and they produced some amazing graphics that was in line with the sentiments of COVID-19, because there was a lot of backlash against any advertising of any business at one point, of any sort. So I'm just going to share with you guys, the images that they created for us that we were able to put on adverts to entice more people to click on, because there were people looking. Now, in a nutshell, guys, these golden nuggets, I would say, are the sort of ultimate things we did. We were definitely very fast, so we worked really fast as a team. So whenever we got a lead in, we immediately called the person up, potential guest or potential tenant up, and close the deal for them to stay over. And one of the greatest things about having service accommodation, by the way, during lockdown, was the fact that it was all automated anyway, so we didn't really have to go and do any physical viewings unless it was absolutely necessary. What we did have to do was, we did have to go out and take videos of the properties, because it was just so much easier to send somebody a pre-made video of the place, so they can get an idea of, what the space is like, what the property is like. So we automated and recorded and used the internet as much as possible for our business, as much as possible. I'm just thinking what other stuff I can give you guys that we did that was very helpful. By the way, guys, so I've become a massive fan of social media. Before, I used to like social media, but I think I understand social media so much more because I've seen the impact, and power it has for our business and our everyday lives, which is, so I never tweeted before coronavirus and the lockdown, but I basically started tweeting the NHS in Cambridge, and also I was tweeting our local council here because by the way, so in case you guys don't know, so the NHS, obviously key workers, okay, we were trying to attract them and let them know that, hey guys, we've got these properties available. If your staff need them, we're here, please contact us, because there's nothing wrong with advertising, because there's people that actually need our properties, and we've been able to help so many doctors, nurses and scientists as well, who just want to isolate from their families, and we're still housing them at this moment in time because they're still working in the coronavirus COVID-19 environment. The council one was very interesting, guys. So I actually tweeted the council, and I actually got in touch with my HMO officer in Cambridge, and he was awesome. And the reason for that is because I just needed the contact details of the person that dealt with or looked after their social housing aspect. And within the council, there's a division that deals with emergency accommodation. Now, unfortunately, so I was having a chat with the manager who looked after this division. What's it called? Domestic violence was on the uprise, and that's really unfortunate because obviously people were couples were being forced to stay at home together, and there was a lot of violence going on. So usually where the council would have sent vulnerable people who are vulnerable or victims of domestic abuse to stay at a guest house or at the Travel Lodge or at Premier Inn, they couldn't really do it because all the hotels had closed down. So I was able to reach out and just offer, our properties in case they needed it, and that's something that sort of hit a bit of a nerve. So something that I would like to do really for going forward for our business is, if there is a way to work with the council to provide housing that can be used for those that really need it, I think that would be great to go into, because I actually feel despite the fact that they're not the best tenants in terms of, I don't know, things are going to get smashed up, but I do feel that, okay, the rent will still come in because the council will be paying for that, and also we are providing a very valuable service which could really help somebody. So, these aspects are, very close to my heart now. So it's really changed the way I think about doing service accommodation type of business. So not necessarily just put your units out for, the holiday lets, for the corporate tenancies, etc. But also we can also have some units and put them aside for the council if they need them for emergency as well. So that's a bit of a social change that we've, that's very close to my heart that I'm implementing for my business. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that you've taken away some golden nuggets of what we've done to make our business work. At the moment, as I've mentioned, we're taking on some more units. We're a little bit bored because all our units are fully occupied at the moment, and I hope that if you guys have got units on and you're losing money, the only other piece of advice I can give you is make sure you can exercise your break clause in your contract as soon as possible, or see if any other operators can maybe take on your property and charge them a bit of a fee for maybe your furniture, etc., so you're not making a loss. So guys, I hope that you found this video useful. You would I'd be so grateful if you could drop me a like, and do let me know if you have any questions that you want me to answer. Just drop it in the comment section below and I will try and get a video out to answer your questions. So it's Lesley Tao here, and I'm checking out. I'm hoping to see you guys soon. So I'll catch you guys on Wednesday and Friday. Bye.